Chapter 8.1 10 Ways to Grow Faith for Protectors. Faith is not an abstract concept reserved for a select few. It is a living, breathing part of who we are, especially for those who have carried the heavy call of service. For protectors, faith can feel fractured after years of exposure to trauma, loss, and disconnection. Yet faith in its truest form is not about certainty or perfection. It's about trust, about the daring to hope again, about finding meaning even when the road feels unclear. It is about grounding yourself in what steadies your soul, what reminds you of your worth, and what connects you back to life. Below are 10 pathways to grow faith in transition. They are not rules to follow, but invitations. These are gentle ways to nurture the part of you that longs for renewal, belonging, and peace. Take them slowly and let them unfold in your own time. Faith is not built in a single moment. Rather, it grows like roots beneath the soil, often unseen, but steadily anchoring you. Reconnect with core values. When everything feels uncertain, begin with what is unshakable. Think back to the values that guided you in service, such as honor, courage, loyalty, and integrity. These are not just military or professional ideals. They are deep truths that once gave you strength and clarity. They are still yours. Bring them forward into your civilian life. Ask yourself, how can I live honor today? What does loyalty look like in my family, my friendships, my community? What are the values that guide my mission to those that have fallen? These values can become anchors when the world feels unstable. They remind you of who you are beyond the uniform, beyond the wounds, the loss, and beyond the confusion of transition. Create time for reflection. Faith grows in quiet spaces where noise recedes. In service, silence was often dangerous, where every quiet moment could signal a threat. In the loss of a loved one, memories and grief can feel overwhelming, but now silence can become sacred again. Set aside a few minutes each day for reflection. This might look like prayer, meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in stillness with a cup of coffee on your breath. It is less about technique and more about presence and allowing yourself to pause, to notice, to breathe. They become small refuges where you can hear your own heart again. Seek meaning in the journey. Pain, profound grief, and struggle often make us question everything. Why did this happen? What was it for? Faith does not erase those questions. Rather, it welcomes them. Instead of trying to silence your doubt, let them become your guides. Ask, what is this teaching me? What can I learn from what I have endured? This doesn't mean glorifying suffering, but rather finding within it threads of wisdom, resilience, or compassion that you might not have known otherwise. When you reframe struggle as part of a larger journey, even the darkest chapters can hold meaning. Faith often grows strongest in the soil of hardship. Connect with others who share belief. You are not meant to carry faith alone. Connection with others is essential. Seek out those who uplift your spirit, who remind you of hope when yours runs thin. This might be a faith group, a veterans or families of the fallen circle, a peer support program, or even a small gathering of trusted friends who share your values. Faith grows in community. It is strengthened when others remind us of truths we forget in isolation. Sometimes Simply hearing someone else's story of survival and hope is enough to reignite the flame within your own chest. Embrace nature and stillness. There is something profoundly healing about the natural world. Standing beneath the vast sky, watching waves roll against the shore or listening to the rustle of trees in the wind can remind you of your place in something larger, timeless, and sacred. Nature doesn't ask you to perform. It doesn't judge your past. It simply welcomes you back, steady and patient. Even a short walk outside, a moment watching the sunrise, or sitting under the stars can restore a sense of awe. That awe is faith awakening and a reminder that life is bigger than the burdens you carry. Read or listen to inspirational teachings. Faith does not have to be built alone. Draw on the wisdom of others who have walked before you. This may be sacred texts, books by those who inspire you, podcasts or talks that speak truth into your weary places. Sometimes hearing words from another person helps you name what you've been feeling but couldn't quite articulate. Keep a notebook of reflections or teachings that steady you and return to them when doubt or darkness rises. Over time, these words become like companions, voices that walk beside you, whispering encouragement when your own feels faint. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain. It's about noticing that even in the midst of it, good still exists. Begin small. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how simple. This could be the warmth of sunlight on your face, a message from a friend, or a meal that satisfied you. Gratitude shifts the gaze. It reminds the heart that despair is not the full story. Over time, it rewires the mind to notice life's small mercies, building resilience and quiet joy. Gratitude is one of the simplest and most profound faith practices available to us all. Allow questions to arise. Many believe that faith requires certainty, but in truth, faith and questions walk hand in hand. To have faith is not to know all the answers, but to lean into mystery with openness. Allow yourself to be curious. Let your questions breathe rather than trying to silence them. Doubt is not the enemy of faith. It is often the doorway into deeper understanding. When you give yourself permission to wrestle with your questions, you create space for a more authentic, honest, and enduring faith to take root. Serve others with compassion. Faith grows strongest when it is lived out. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen your faith is to serve others with compassion. Volunteer at a local shelter, mentor a younger veteran, check in on a fellow protector, or when ready, share your story with others. These acts reconnect you with purpose. They remind you that your service did not end when you left the uniform behind. It simply changed form. Compassion heals not only those you serve, but also your own spirit. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, becomes a seed of faith planted in the world. Trust the process. Finally, remember that faith takes time. It is not about forcing yourself to feel something you don't. It's about showing up, day after day, to the practices that nourish you, such as reflection, connection, gratitude, and service. Faith grows slowly, like roots deepening in the earth. Some days you may feel strong and steady, other days you may feel empty. Both belong to the process. Trust that with time, consistency, and openness, faith will grow again. One day, you will look back and see how far you've come, not because you forced it, but because you allowed yourself to walk the journey, one step, one breath, one moment at a time. Faith for protectors is not about perfection. It is not about being unshakable or unscarred. It's about learning to live again with trust, hope, and meaning guiding the way. These 10 practices are not tasks to complete, but invitations to embrace. Choose one. Begin gently and let faith meet you where you are. You have already carried so much for others. Let these practices carry you now into a life where faith is not just an idea, but a living, breathing strength that walks beside you.